Greetings, this is Doug the Eclipse guy again, talking about our favorite subject, Eclipse. In this case, this video will cover generating a report to get the contact information out of Eclipse. So, um, contacts are kind of a funny thing in that there is a separate program for entering in contacts, and then this contact information also is connected to, in some cases, to a customer or vendor record. Uh, so they can be independent or they can be tied to the customer or vendor record. If they're tied to the customer and vendor record, they will show up in that record as well. For example, um, so for an imaginary customer, uh, I have created this record here. And this is a contact, but it's completely not connected to any particular company or customer or vendor record. You can tell that by the fact that the entity field is blank and the company field is blank. But in the case of a different one, like, well, me, for instance, okay, since I also show up in the system as a customer, um, uh, the entity is filled in and the company is filled in for my company record. If you went into customer maintenance and pulled up the entity Izonaco, you would find my contact information in there. So kind of kooky the way that they can be dependent and independent both. This becomes important later on when you go to do reports. Anyway, so there was a need to create a report that showed the email addresses of our customers in Eclipse. Now, the simple go-to down and dirty one would have been to go use Eclipse reports because it's the easiest thing and just create a template. But there is a problem with that one. Let's see here. As with all things in Eclipse, things are a little glitchy. It doesn't give you exactly what you expected. So I created this report called contact info, which goes to the contact file. And there is no entity attribute that can be selected with this report. And so the company name stays blank. Um, so in this case, it's very hard to identify if these are customers or what they are. So kind of having that what company are they affiliated with is kind of important. So that particular glitch there renders that report completely useless for us, which is a shame because that should have been just a 30-second thing and done. But missing that affiliation, that entity ID, and the company name being blank, annoying. You would think a piece of software that has been in existence for 34 years would have fixed that little glitch, but no, not so much. So, in order to get that information in a report, we go back to the old way of doing things. All right, so uh, this goes back to Eterm to run the report writer mass load the original reporting tool in Eclipse because if everything else fails, mass load will not. It is as close to the bare metal of the database as you can possibly get. It is just a wrapper around the TCL um, query language for the universe database. So if it can't be done there, it pretty much can't be done. Uh, then you'd be reduced down to going to the TCL prompt and interacting with the universe directly. Nobody in their right mind would want to do that. Anyway, so Eterm, um, F1, mass load. I have already created this report accessible as IT contacts. All right, so Mass load report writer is an old program, but it's not bad. It's got some weird little quirks to it. One of its quirks is, of course, that it doesn't show me the heading tags till I change the view. So Alt V and change to report writer mode, and now I can see the column headings that it's actually going to have in the report, and I can change the width a little bit if I need to. And this is all the information I need to get. So this is um, accessing, as you can see in the file name, it's accessing the contact file, or you can think of it as the contact table in the database. Um, and we're getting, you always have to pull the ID in the report writer, so it'll look at all the records. So we're out of that. We're doing first name, last name, what their title, their email address, uh, company and entity name in this report are actually redundant. They're both the same, so I'm going to take this one out. All right, and save that by escaping and go back into it. And okay, now it is where we want it to be. So I've got entire videos on how to run report writer, mass load programs, that type of stuff. There's not much to it. You start with an ID tag, and then you add the other attributes that you want. Uh, Hitting F10 in the dictionary items formula will give you all of the possible attributes that you can select to add to the report, and it'll beep at you when you escape, which is annoying. Um, then you have to do a couple other things. In this case, when I put an email, well, a contact can have multiple emails, so the attribute could have um, uh, uh, several levels to it. So this column data um, will highlight in red, and uh, and so we have to go into column data and tell it which um, sub attribute out of the stack of that email attribute we want. So we want just the position one, the first email address that shows up for each contact, um, rather than making it extraordinarily complicated. All I want is the first one. Okay. Entity name we said is going to be essentially the customer or vendor. And then we have to, if in this report, we have to go into set build and give it some additional defining stuff. So we're saying if the company name is nothing, because I just want contacts associated with a vendor or customer record. As long as it's greater than nothing, yeah, go ahead and put it on the report. Then there's the sorting that we have to do, Alt T. And so we're going to sort by entity name in ascending order. And that is the basics of a report writer. But once this has been created, I don't have to muck around with this anymore. So everything's in place. If you haven't done the set build, the sort order, or added that column data in this particular attribute that's required, as soon as you go and run it, it's going to nag you for that information. So if you get a screen when you go to run it that it wasn't what you were expecting, odds are you messed up and didn't add one of those additional criteria for the report to run cleanly. So here we do Alt R for run, and then we're going to send it to our hold file, Alt H. All right, and Phantom should come up shortly, and there, and it tells us the report is complete. So we go ahead and escape out the report writer, do F2 PY for our hold file, and there's our contact info report. All right, we can do an Alt V for a quick view and see, okay, did we get the information that we were kind of expecting? Yeah, it looks like it. Okay, good. From there, then we can go ahead and download it to our computer to put into Excel. So you do Alt L for download. We're going to store this in ctemp, which of course this is where I put everything. So I'm going to call this contacts. With the old Eterm, you have to specify the extension, or else it won't put it in automatically to the file name. That's different from when you download something out of the hold file in Solar, where it will automatically add the file extension identifier. In this case, we're going to do a comma separated value export because I don't have a program to put this directly into Excel because I just wrote this a few minutes ago. Download is going to be spreadsheet reformat, which is comma separated value. Go ahead and hit enter. Yes, we not download the document headings. Bleep, 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 and away it goes. All right, good. Now, if we go ahead and go to our temp directory, we see that there's our contacts report, and we want to go ahead and look at a notepad before we drop it into Excel for whatever reason. And it's going to look like that. And of course, Windows 11, undo the word wraps, you can see them more in its natural format. Now, if you want to make things a little cleaner, you can go ahead and delete these headings out of the file before you drop it into Excel. It just saves a step for cleanup. I'm old-fashioned, I do it that way, and save that. You don't have to, you can clean it up in Excel. Anyway, so that's what it looks like in its raw format. And now we're going to go ahead and now the right way to do it is to start Excel, do a data import as a text file, and then you've got to go through the import filters, and it's pain in the ass. You have to do that when you're dealing with like complex things, but since this is just simple contact information, we're just going to open it directly into Excel and let the import filter take its defaults because I don't feel like messing with it. And there we are. And okay, then we do the usual cleanup stuff. Possible data loss. Oh bullshit. So bold the top, freeze top row, highlight everything, and from home do format, auto fit column width, and there we are. Now be very careful that, since you're dealing with all the contacts, that means everything that's in the customer records and everything that's in the vendor records. So do not think that listing is going to be just customers. You got to filter the vendors out before you decide how you're going to use that information. And anyway, so that is how you would manage to get the contact information associated to the customer or vendor records and how you get into Excel. Thank you for your time and attention.